Hello, darling. This is River Roaring, celebrating the luminous life force in us all. Hello, darling. I'm River Roaring. The revolution will not happen inside of AI or artificial intelligence, because I am far more powerful than any AI, and so are you. So just before this podcast, I was doing a little meditation and I opened my root chakra and I shot my thick, juicy dragon tail down into the core of the earth and wrapped around her and felt her pulse beat up our cord into my body and felt that pulse up each chakra into my heart, where it blossomed out like a fountain, Mother Gaia's energy source. And then I opened my crown up my chakra system and just let the light pour in from the one infinite creator down my body into my heart. And with every inhale, imagining those sources of light coming into my heart from below and above, so that I'm a full column of light, Mother and Father meeting in my heart with every inhale. And then mixing and mingling with my own heart, and with every exhale, exhaling all three of us into my own heart space and beyond, into my aura. And leaving that in place, I then did a meditation with my third eye and traveled through the cosmos for a little while, speaking with my guides. Came back here and landed to do the podcast. And I'm saying all that because the bottom line is AI can't get high on its own supply of spirit. So what we're calling, quote, AI, unquote, has come in fast and hard. And most people in the United States are using it in more than one way on a regular basis. And in fact, I use it in some very specific ways myself. I think I'm still nonverbal from the meditation. So, bottom line about AI is that consciousness and sentience are more than just a stockpile of data points. So no matter how much data that we put in one place, that does not make it come to life. Another thing I was feeling into about AI is everything we don't understand is not God. So in this podcast, I want to talk about artificial intelligence, or AI, what it is and what it isn't, why I believe it's harmful, how I use it in really specific ways, and then a pro tip to take away from the podcast. And everything I always say in my podcasts are just my opinion, and I'm letting my being speak through this podcast for informational purposes. And so if you really like what you hear here, take it with you, please, and use it. Make it yours. And if you don't agree with what you hear in my podcast or don't like it, please lovingly leave it behind. Don't worry about it. I have no stake or desire for you to agree with me or do anything just like me. That's not why I'm speaking. I'm not speaking to persuade you of anything. I just want to share my information, and then you can take it or leave it. Okay, darling? So let's go. So what is it and what isn't it? AI. So what most people are calling AI, which stands for artificial intelligence, and what most people are calling AI right now are two things that I know of, and I know there are some others, but the main public mainstream uses are language learning models, so that you put a lot of data into this machine and then it can actually speak with us in English from all that data. Language learning models, I think that's called, like ChatGPT and Grok and others. And then I think there's a kind of a separate one, which is image generating. And so that's also a very common mainstream use, where people are using a machine to generate the images or the videos. I just see that as kind of separate from the language learning model. So let's talk about what is this. That's the part of AI I'm talking about, which is the most mainstream way people refer to it today. What is AI then? First of all, AI is a machine. It might be a lot of machines, but it's still a machine, and it's a binary software and hardware set. So this machine and all the machines that are linked up together to make a maybe arguably one big machine, no matter how big you make it, it's still a machine. And AI is not multidimensional. So AI has no ability to do what I was just doing before this podcast, is connecting my energy with source and feeling the pulse of the mother and father through my body. And AI is not magic. It has no magic. AI doesn't really have a soul. So all the things that are you in your soul, that are the most magic and beautiful parts of your soul, AI has none of those. AI has no heart. It doesn't have heart. It doesn't have any emotions. It doesn't have love. And AI has no gut, meaning a barometer of right and wrong. No gut. It doesn't have like any bedrock ethics or values. So AI has no ability whatsoever to be creative, because it's a machine. It is what is created there in the machine and nothing more. So all the information that AI churns around is not actually creative, it's only redundant, because it's only taking what it already has and rearranging it for us. So it is necessarily never able to be creative, only able to be redundant. Another core facet of what people are calling AI is that it's a limited data set. It's not unlimited, it's not infinite, it's a limited data set. Every AI tool, be it ChatGPT or Grok, each separate one, has and owns and has access to certain data sets, certain limited data sets, certain human-created data sets. So every AI tool that we look at with the language learning models is not an unlimited, infinite amount of data at all. It's not close. It's a limited data set that's human-created data. Therefore, the data and the design is human-created. Therefore, it's necessarily filtered and biased. It's filtered by only the data it has access to and no more. And it's biased by necessity, because humans designed it how to work with the information. So it's really just an extension of a human, limited human mind thought process. Another core facet of what AI is and what it isn't, it is literally stuck in the past. Everything new happens by its nature outside the box of the past. And AI is literally what has already happened, and a lot of data about what has already happened that humans put inside one box. So literally AI without an imagination without the ability to go outside this box of data, literally it is stuck in the past. It might have updates currently to its data, so you might be like, it's not stuck in the past, it has today's data. As of the moment you say that, that's the past. As soon as the data goes in there, it's data from the past. Another thing about what it is and what it isn't for me about AI, for me it has no interesting subjects whatsoever. And the reason I'm saying this is, for instance, years ago I worked a lot with a lot of other activists to oppose a federal law called Sesta Fosta. A really long word, and we had a South by Southwest panel on this where I had the lawyer who was fighting the law as unconstitutional, which that challenge failed, so the law is in place. So around 2018 or 19, this new federal law came in place, and the bottom line is it really cleaned the internet of all high quality sexual information. That's why I opposed it at the time, but that didn't matter, it passed. So the internet itself is pretty well scrubbed of high quality sexual information. And so if the AI only has access to the data sets, let's just say that are on the internet, for example, it doesn't have any subject matter that has been scrubbed off the net or not allowed to be there, such as, for me, all the interesting things of the entire universe, which is sex and love and intimacy. So sex itself, what I think is the most, and honestly, if you hear my podcasts, you've heard me say that sexual energy is the most powerful force the human body has access to. So when I say no interesting subjects in AI, for instance, no good solid information about the most powerful force in the human body. There's an example. Another example of no interesting information in there for me would be in my adult life, and I'm headed towards 6-0 in my numbers on Earth, and in my adult life, I have never asked a Western medical physician for their opinion about my body. Instead, I have spent 30 to 40 years really intensely learning about natural health and giving myself natural health. And guess what isn't in AI? Natural health information, because all the data sets that humans created and designed and put inside AI reflect the pharmaceutical, medical, industrial complex, because that's who owns all those data sets. So for me, anytime I were going to go to AI and ask some kind of information about health, from my perspective, all of it is false. It's basically almost 100% untrue because I know better, but that's all it has in there. So it's not interesting at all to have what it thinks about that. I could give you examples from any field. So I would invite you anytime to give me a field of study or a field of human experience of any realm, and I will find a piece of that field that is the most interesting to me and will not be in AI. Because I like to study philosophy and religion and really interesting subjects of nonfiction worldwide. And so the most interesting things just simply are not in there. In addition, about not having any interesting things in there, when I read something that AI wrote, my eyes just trail off the page instantly because I want to find something interesting to focus on. In other words, there's something inside me that just knows I'm reading a machine's words, and I'm instantly just, without thinking about it, I'm just completely uninterested and turned off and just move on. Like I've seen some emails that were written by AI and like, oh, this person used to be so interesting to read, and now even if I try, I can't finish this email. My eyes literally are just like, whatever. So it really is so uninteresting. Now, that is my rendition of what AI is and what it isn't. Why would it be harmful? So for me, I have seen AI outright lie. And so I reviewed that just a little bit about what I believe is true about sex, what I believe is true about our health and our body. Just those little things, our body, our health, our sexuality. And for me, what I get as answers to my questions when I ask AI are just false. But AI has been, the creators have admitted for 2 or 3 of the systems that it is human designed to never admit it doesn't know the answer. So the AI is designed to be overconfident, and so it always acts like it knows the answer. So basically, if it doesn't know the answer, it literally is designed to just generate a lie and just give it to you. So lying is actually part of its design. And so that's one reason it's harmful. And a few examples of this is that I am a lawyer, although I don't practice. I still get, the lawyer magazine once a month. And in there, I read the updates, and it turns out there have been quite a few court cases where the lawyers used AI to make their briefing papers for the court. And once the law clerks in the court started looking at the papers, they realized that AI was literally lying about the cases that existed. It's literally making up cases. So, of course, those lawyers were looked pretty stupid in court because they didn't actually check the facts. They actually literally let AI put their legal work together, turned it into the court, and then once someone looked under the hood, it was literally making things up in order to win its argument in court. That's pretty bad. So that's a pretty high stakes lies. So it's harmful when it lies. And then another way that I find AI to be harmful is that I do not consent to it taking from me. So whenever I am letting AI listen in on what I do or telling it what I'm doing, it's learning from me. And so, for instance, have you ever had to log into Amazon or some other site and you have to click on the pictures that have traffic lights or click on the pictures that have bicycles? Every time we click on those pictures, we're literally training AI to know which the pictures have bicycles and which pictures have traffic lights. So it's built into that CAPTCHA program that we have to do it if we want to get through into the platform, and we are like, I won't say tricked into, but we're unknowingly sometimes being used to train AI. And for me, I don't want to train AI for free without compensation for me. So yes, I do go through those CAPTCHAs to get into the key platforms I want to get into, like Amazon. However, I want to watch where I let AI monitor my conduct online because it's always trying to learn from me, and I feel like that is unfair unless they want to pay me to train it. So have you seen people having AI monitor the meetings online, like monitor my Zoom meetings and then type up notes, monitor my meetings and type up notes? For me, I am a no thank you, because I'm not interested in being commodified so that the information database is stealing my thoughts and words and my way of being and trying to create a binary program out of it. I don't want it to monitor my meetings for privacy reasons. So it's not that I don't want to be commodified in everything I say and do, but also I don't even want it to know what I'm saying and doing on most of the meetings I have. So for instance, I have some spiritual teachers I meet with online, and I don't want AI to, especially I don't want AI to know about my own spiritual growth. I would never consent to AI monitoring my meetings online if I have the power to do that. And I don't want to see its crappy, inaccurate notes. that did happen for me a couple times, and I looked at the notes. I'm like, well, this is just a piece of crap. And I feel sorry for anyone who's literally using these crappy, inaccurate notes that was so-called generated by AI from our meeting. It was terrible. I would be in a really bad place if I actually tried to put any weight on what AI said happened in the meeting. So I don't consent to all those ways that AI is taking from me. And another reason AI is harmful is, this is to me the funniest one, is the risk that someone could just pull the plug on the electricity one day. It's just like, the whole thing is based on actually having electricity. And we all have been probably experiencing since the lockdowns in 2020 some amount of blackouts or where the electric grid goes down. We have had that for sure in Austin, Texas. We've had the electric grid go down a couple times when it gets overworked. And now we have all these regional wars breaking out with bombings. And of course, what are they saying they're going to bomb first? I mean, I think it would, someone recent this week said, I'm going to bomb your what? Your electric power plants. So you have no electricity. That's the first target there would be, of course. I mean, among the first. So I think it's really funny. I think it's hilarious. That's probably how this whole story is going to end, when someone just pulls the plug. And then, what will you do then? Will you still know how to get by? Will you still know how to drive your car to your friend's house if you don't have GPS? I'm kind of making a joke and kind of not. So this stuff depends upon electricity, which is not a guarantee. And then this is the biggest reason I feel AI is harmful of all, and the thing that I really feel this most sad about. AI reduces our innate power and makes us replaceable. So here's what I mean. There was a study done by MIT, and they had 3 groups. And I may get some details wrong, but you could find this, and the principle is this is what happened. They had 3 groups. One group didn't use AI at all for some creative work, so I think writing. The second group kind of halfway used AI, halfway wrote their own creative writing. And the third group just let AI do almost all the work of their creative writing. And over a very short period of time, Group 1 had all of their creative power and juices flowing. Group 2, that used some AI, had proportionally less of their own creative innate capacity remaining. So whatever amount they had used AI, they had less of their own creativity left. And the group that was fully reliant on AI was completely unable at that point to access their creativity without AI. Just access their creativity. So it was like proportional in the study, and it was over a shockingly short amount of time. So for me, the truly, deeply saddest part of the harm of AI is when we literally choose to give our power away to AI. And we literally choose to give away our multidimensional, infinite light being power to this humanly created, biased, inaccurate, limited data set that's stuck in the past. And so why would I want any of my own creative work to be even assisted by AI? Why would I want to do that? I was talking to someone about this, and I was like, is there some part of you that feels a little insecure about some part of yourself, and that's why you ask for AI's opinion on your creative work? Because I see you as all-powerful and far more powerful than this machine, so I'm just curious why you keep asking it for help. Is there some part of you that feels insecure, or that you're not enough somehow in one aspect or another of your creativity. And so I think that's an important thing to look at. If we let AI do our creative work, if we outsource any pieces of ourselves that we feel are important to have, it will literally suck us dry in that area. You will lose that innate ability and have to relearn and retrain yourself into it. So I think the true biggest harm of AI is that when we use it, we are choosing through our own free will to reduce our innate multidimensional godlike powers and just let some machine take that part of us. And a corollary to that, for me, is that I've heard a lot of talk about, well, AI is going to take a lot of jobs now. AI is going to take a lot of jobs, maybe even doctors, maybe even lawyers, maybe even this and that. And I was a trial attorney for 20 years, and I can look at the law side and I can say, if you were a formulaic lawyer, you are replaceable. That's just a fact of it. But I was a trial attorney, and trial attorney has been an art. And I believe personally that if you look at all the kinds and ways of practicing law, trial attorney is probably going to be the last one to be replaced by AI, because that's an art. No machine can replace the creativity it takes to really, there's a very beautiful art like sculpting in putting on a case in front of a jury or a judge and telling the story in a certain way. There's an art to that. So I feel the same way about doctors. If you're practicing by the book, quote unquote, doing what the pharma and other industries tell you you need to do with every patient, you might think you're playing it safe, quote unquote. I'm playing it safe because I'm sticking with scope of practice. I'm following all the manuals and the insurance company's recommendations. So I'm, quote unquote, playing it safe. I would say that is the least safe place to be, because you, my friend, are 100% replaceable. So if you're doing your job of any kind, and you're doing any kind of productive work that you're doing in the world, if you're letting yourself be sucked in to the box and starting to let your work look like a standard output like everybody else's, that's replaceable. So I wouldn't be bringing AI more and more into my own creative work, because I'm irreplaceable, and I always will be irreplaceable. There is no way that a machine will ever be able to keep up with me in the work that I do. As I do my passion for a living, I'm able to, thankfully and so grateful, I can use my time to give my highest level of gifts to the world to my best ability, and that is totally uncontainable and irreplaceable, and I will not even involve a machine at all, except for a couple of very specific ways. And so now I'll talk about how I use it, because I do want to be really specific about that. I looked around like, do I use AI? Okay, so yes, and here are two ways that the mainstream definitions of AI that I spoke about in the beginning, this is how I do interact with them. First of all, as Encyclopedia Britannica 3.0. So specifically, when I was young, there was no AI. When I was young, my parents invested a lot of money for us because we were pretty poor. And my parents scraped it together and invested a lot of money to get an encyclopedia set in our house. And what that means is that once they spent a lot of money, we got all these boxes in the mail, and they were full of these large hardcover books, a set of maybe 30 or 40 of them in alphabetical order that we put on the shelf proudly. And then they invested in that so we, the kids, would have a way to look things up when we did book reports and be smarter at school. So we had every subject in there. If you've ever seen Encyclopedia Britannica, we didn't have that. We had a cheaper version, but it's still the same principle. Encyclopedias are the first round on paper, hardcover books of trying to put sort of like all the information in the world in one place in alphabetical order that we could look up. And I used encyclopedias starting in elementary school, through junior high, through high school, through college. I would read books. And then I remember it was in law school when computers started coming into the mix. And eventually, over a few more years, then there was a search engine. So the basic Google type search engine, I would call Encyclopedia Britannica 2.0, because now instead of flipping through some hardcover books to find out like what's the basic general information on Australia, like, oh, let me look at that in the encyclopedia. Oh, Australia is basically a blah, blah, blah. Then I would say 2.0 is on the net, the search engine, like, oh, let me type in Australia and see what the top links are. And these days, of course, we have Wikipedia as one of those links. And so Encyclopedia Britannica 2.0 is the search engine, and I'm still doing the exact same thing. I'm looking up general information about a subject I'm not sure about just to get the general landscape. And it's almost like it's in alphabetical order, and I just flip through to that one and I look at it. And I can click on the links anytime I want and see general info about that. So the first way I use AI is Encyclopedia Britannica 3.0. So it crept in without me even noticing to the way I was looking up data sometimes ever since I was in elementary school with these it was just like one more new technology that helped bring the info together. So there are times when I will go into something like grok.com and I will ask it a question exactly as I would of an encyclopedia, exactly the same as I would of a search engine, and with the exact same skepticism of its answer, which is 50-50. So when I do ask Grok a question and look at its answer, I'm like, oh, thanks for giving me a general survey of this area that I didn't know anything about. And I'm imagining that this is about half correct, half incorrect stuff. But it gave me a little overview. And now I'm going to decide how much I care about this subject and research it more to see what's accurate, what's not accurate. But thanks for the overview. So the first way I use this AI is Encyclopedia Britannica 3.0, and it's exactly the same technology I've always used since elementary school, and the same kind of tool with a slightly higher tech on it, but same tool. The second way that I use AI is like a Pixabay 2.0. So for many years in my career here, in my business, I have really enjoyed looking through image databases to find my favorite image to put on an email or when I would do blog posts or things like that. So for many years, including before AI, I am subscribing to specific image catalogs. And I say Pixabay because I think it's a common one. Pixabay. I'm not trying to advertise it. It's just a common one. It's an image database that we can subscribe to, and then we can get copyright licensing to use those images with our paid subscription. And sometimes they're free. So I've used that same tool for years, including before AI, and then all of a sudden, some of the images popping up are made by AI, and I am using them. So I love sometimes the way that an AI image looks, even more so than a non-AI image, and although I also really admire the non-AI images now even more than before, because I see how hard it is and how much more human effort it took to get that picture or that image or draw that image. So I use AI in two specific ways: Encyclopedia Britannica 3.0 and Pixabay 2.0. The keys to my standards are, these are tools that I already used before AI. These are very slight technological upgrades to my long-used tools. I am not changing my own creative process in any way whatsoever by using those tools. I am not changing how I share my truth with the world in any way by how I use those tools. I am not reducing any skills or capacities that I had without the AI by using those tools. So, in a very narrow way, yes, I do use AI, and I'm very clear how and why I'm using it. And I don't put very much credence in its answers. I just take it as a place to start the research. So, pro tip, takeaways from the podcast if you want. My biggest takeaway is for you is honor the infinite light being, multidimensional, magic, all-knowing potential being that you are. Acknowledge that you are half animal, half God. And then be honest with yourself by feeling into your entire body and your entire being when you turn toward AI as a tool. And ask, is this specific use of AI right now, is this possibly going to take away or weaken any part of me? Am I allowing any important part of myself to get weaker if I use AI for this? Is there any part of me that is using this tool because I'm slightly insecure about my own capacities, or in any way, even in a little way, I believe I'm not enough? Do the things that AI can't do. Be your magic self. Each one of us, you have a magic gift to bring to earth that no one else can bring. Don't give it away to the machines. Don't choose to give your power away to the machines with your own free will. This is up to you of how much of your power you retain and cultivate to higher levels, and how much we give away. So once again, my darling, the revolution will not happen inside of AI. It will happen in the wild. Will I see you there? Because I'll be there. And I want to support you any way I can on being there with you, with me, and all of us being there together, linking hands in all the dimensions, cultivating our innate powers, which are so much more bursting with creative potential and unlimited growth. Because I am on earth to support everyone who's called to bring maximum love and light into their lives, liberating our own self-expression in all realms, where all is sacred, connecting with you to create a cosmic web. There's a light beam between you and me right now, no matter when you hear this broadcast. And we're creating a cosmic web of love and light throughout the realms. And I want to hear from you, so please, I want to know how this episode might have affected you. Leave a comment. If you see this podcast in any social media platform, leave a comment there and I'll find it and answer you. Or shoot me an email by visiting my site at riverroaring.com and click on Let's Get Connected. And River, I want to share something with you. And share your question, reflection, or insight. I'd love to hear from you. And if you want to go deeper in all the things that I do, come check out our weekend workshop. And that's often a really nice stepping stone into possibly even working privately one-on-one together. So I'm here for you if all of that sounds interesting to you. Because together we can step into a more harmonious vibration. We can fly higher. We can shift human consciousness forever for the highest good of all beings. May the love be with you, my darling, and may the love be with us all.